Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session, our final session looking at the English Moor or the Mock Marriage by Richard Brome. Those who've watched previous episodes will know that we have entered a sort of supercharged area of problematicness. We have very questionable depictions and discussions of race. We have a character who has blacked up. We have the references, anti-Semitic references. We have casual misogyny, and we also have ableism. We have pretty much ticked all of the early modern boxes for this particular play, and as ever, it puts a lot of pressure on us in terms of asking the usual question: how do you stage a play like this? To which the answer is, yeah. So we're going to see what the closing of the play delivers in terms of where the blackface plotline is going, and where also the other plot lines are going. Because of course, I imagine a lot of people are going to get married in awkward and annoying ways. But that's pretty much part of the course of an early modern comedy. So reading today, Lucy, Testy, and Rafe is
Sarah in Germany.
Reading Page, Nathaniel, and Buzard.
Kyle in Tucson.
Reading Dionysia, Edmond, and Winlosse is
Susan in Norwich.
Reading Phillis, Arnold, and Epilogue.
Mark in the Midwest United States.
Reading Theophilus and Vincent.
Connor in London.
Yay, the sound works. Reading Quicksand and Host is
in Suffolk.
Reading Millicent, Inductor, and Meanwell is
Rachel in Canada.
And reading Arthur Moore and Rashly is
Hi, I'm Eric, in a supercharged area of problematicness, as to quote Rob.
Yes, so we're going to go into the end of Act 4 with Act 4, Scene 4, where we have a conversation between Millicent and Phillis. The stage direction does not indicate where we are in terms of where Millicent appears. We shall see. Anyway, enter Millicent and Phillis.
I have heard thy story often, and with pity as often thought upon it, and that the father of my best loved Theophilus, together with his then friend, Master Meanwell, who have since become each other's deathsmen, as 'tis thought, by suits in law, wrought the sad overthrow of thy poor father's fortune, by which means, poor gentleman, he was forced to leave his native country, to seek foreign means to maintain life.
Or rather to meet death, for since his travel, which is now 6 years, I never heard of him.
Much pitiful.
So is your story, mistress, unto me. But let us dry our eyes, and know we must not stick in the mire of pity, but with labor work our delivery. Yours is now at hand, if you set will and brain to it. But my honor, if a poor wench may speak so, is so cracked within the ring as 'twill be hardly soldered by any art. If on that wicked fellow that struck me into such a desperate hazard.
He will be here tonight, and all the crew, and this must be of the night of my delivery. I am prevented else forever, wench.
Be sure among the guests that you make choice of the most civil one to be your convoy, and let me alone to act your Moor's part.
Peace, he comes.
Enter Quicksands.
I'll do my shift then.
Exit Phillis.
Where's my hidden beauty? But shall this night be glorious?
I but wait the good hour for my deliverance out of this obscurity.
'Tis at hand, so are my guests. See, some of them are entered.
Enter Nathaniel and Arthur.
Oh, my blithe friend, Master Nathaniel, welcome. And Master Arthur Meanwell, as I take it.
Yes, sir, a gentleman late possessed with sadness, whom I had much ado to draw along to be partaker more of your mirth than cheer. You say here shall be mirth? How now, what's that? Have you a black conyberry in your house?
Stay, Catalina. Nay, she may be seen. But no, sirs, I am mortified to beauty since my wife's death. I will not keep a face better than this under my roof, I've sworn.
You were too rash, sir, in that oath, if I may be allowed to speak.
'Tis done and past, sir.
If I be not taken with yon funeral face, and her 2 eyes with scutcheons, would I were whipped now.
Suppose your friends should wish you to a match prosperous in wealth and honor.
I'll hear of none, nor you, if you speak so.
Sir, I had done.
It is the handsomest robe I have ever seen yet of a deed of darkness. Tawny and russet faces I have dealt with, but never came so deep in blackness yet.
Yeah, come hither, Catalina. You shall see, sir, what a brave wench she shall be made anon. When she dances, how you shall admire her.
Will you have her dancing here tonight?
Yes, I've borrowed other Moors of merchants that trade in Barbary, whence I had mine own here, and you shall see their way and skill in dancing.
He keeps his rye low for his own white tooth, with confidence none will cheat him of a bit. I'll have a sliver, though I lose my whittle.
Here, take this key. 'Twill lead you to those ornaments that decked thy mistress lately. Use her casket, and with the sparklingest of her jewels shine, flame like a midnight beacon with that face, or a pitched ship at fire, the streamers glowing and the keel morning. How I shall rejoice at these preposterous splendours. Get thee glorious, be like a running firework in my house.
He sets me more afire at her. Well, old stick breech, if I do chance to clap your Barbary butt up in all her bravery, and get a snatch in an odd corner, or the dark tonight, to mend your cheer, and you hereafter hear on it, say they're as good stomachs as your own. Hist, hist.
No fee, oh no, I dare not.
Why, pish, pox, I love thee.
Oh no, define white gentleman, I cannot love black thing.
God zooks, the best of all, wench.
Oh, take a heed. My master, see?
When we are alone, then wilt thou?
Then I shall speak a more.
And I'll not lose the more for more than I will speak of.
I muse the rest of my invited gallants come not away.
Zooks, the old angry justice.
Enter Testy.
Sorry, that's me. How comes it, sir, to pass that such news is spread about the town? Is my niece dead, and you prepared to mirth, sir? Huh? Is this the entertainment I must find to welcome me to town?
She is not dead, sir, but take you no notice. You shall have instantly an entertainment that shall fill you all with wonder.
Oh, sure he is mad. Or do you understand his meaning, sirs? Or how or where his wife died?
I know nothing, but give me leave to fear, by his wild humor, he's guilty of her death. Therefore I hope he'll hang himself anon before us all, to raise the mirth he speaks of.
Fie upon you, yet trust me, sir, there have been great constructions and strong presumptions that the ill-made match betwixt her youthful beauty and his covetous age, between her sweetness and his frowardness, was the unhappy means of her destruction. And you that gave strength to that ill-tied knot do suffer sharply in the world's opinion, while she, sweet virgin, has its general pity.
Pray, what have you been to her? I ne'er found you appear a suitor to her.
I ne'er saw her, nor ever should have sought her, sir, for she was only love to my sworn enemy, on whom yet, were she living and in my gift, rather 1,000 times I would bestow her on that man that had and could not know her.
I have done ill, and wish I could redeem this act with half my estate.
This devil's bird. This Moor runs more and more still in my mind.
Enter Vincent and Edmond.
Oh, are you come? And how you brought your scene of mirth along with you?
Yes, and our actors here at hand. But we perceive much business first to set afoot Here's revels towards.
And Dance of Furies, or of blackamoors, is practising within.
But first, there is to be some old collision instead of supper.
Cheap enough, I warrant. But saw you not a moorhen there amongst them?
A pretty little rogue, most richly decked with pearls, chains, and jewels. She's the queen of the night's triumph.
If you chance to spy me, take her aside, say nothing.
Thou wilt filch some of her jewels, perhaps.
I'll draw a lot for the best jewel she wears.
Into quicksands.
But mum, my masters.
Into the house, pray, gentlemen. I'm ready now with your entertainment.
Exit quicksands.
We'll follow you.
Now for 6-penny custards, a pipkin of baked pears, 3 saucers of stewed prunes, a groat's worth of strong ale, and 2 pennies worth of gingerbread.
Exeunt Nathaniel, Vincent, and Edmond.
If she does live, as he bears me in hand she is not dead, I'll tell you briefly, sir, if all the law bodily and ghostly, and all the conscience too, that I can purchase with all the wealth I can take her from, with all the wealth I have, I can take her from him, I will recover her, and then bestow her, if you refuse her, on your so you speak of, whose right she is indeed, rather than he shall hold her longer. Now mine eyes are opened. Will you walk in?
I pray excuse me, sir, I cannot fit myself to mirth.
No kidding. Enter Arthur, exit Arthur, enter Millicent, white-faced and in her own habit.
Your pleasure.
Have I with patience waited for this hour, and does fear check me now? I'll break through all, and trust myself with yond mild gentleman. Cannot but be noble.
A goodly creature, the room's illumined with her, yet her look sad and cheek pale, as if a sorrow sucked it. How came she in? What is she? I'm fear-struck. 'Tis some unresting shadow, or, if not, what makes a thing so glorious in this house, the master being an enemy to beauty? She modestly makes to me.
Noble sir,
Speaks too.
if ever you durst own a goodness, now crown it by an act of honor and mercy.
Speak quickly. Lose no time then. What are you? You look like one that should not be delayed.
I'm the unfortunate woman of this house, to all men's thoughts at rest. This is the face on which the hell of jealousy abused the hand of heaven to fright the world withal.
Were you the seeming Moor was here?
The same, and only to your secrecy and pity have I ventured to appear myself again.
What's to be done? Pray speak, and 'tis performed.
In trust and manhood, sir, I would commit a great charge to you, even my life and honor, to free me from this den of misery.
A blessed task, but when you are freed, lady.
I would desire, sir, then to be conveyed.
Whither? To whom? Speak quickly. Why do you still?
Pray let that rest. I will relieve your trouble when I am freed from hence, and use some others.
Nay, that were cruelty. As you love goodness, tell me.
Why dare you bear me, sir, to one you hate?
What's that if you love? 'Tis your peace I wait on. I look upon your service, not mine own. Were he the mortalest enemy flesh bred up to you, I must be noble.
You profess.
By all that's good and gracious, I will die ere I forsake you, and not set you safe within those walls you seek.
Then, as we pass, I'll tell you where they stand, sir.
You shall grace me.
And they exit. Okay, who else here lost track of the plot because they were just sitting going, oh my god, what the hell just happened? I mean, in comparison with what we had last time, this was quite extreme. We were talking about the sort of educational lessons that we might be able to take from a text like this. This is demonstrating all the things in terms of the way race can be depicted on stage, depicted in popular culture, people's ideas, the exoticization of it with someone like Nathaniel. It is doing all those things. I can see my YouTube filters going horribly wrong with this one. And then some stuff happened after that, and I've absolutely no idea what it was, even though I think there was actually some quite important sort of plot things. They're moving towards some sort of performance that is going to be, I'm sure, hilarious and not problematic at all. Alan?
There's an awful lot of movement within that scene of people entering and exiting, and I think if staged, it would probably be an awful lot clearer as to who is talking to whom. And I think there are also a significant number of unmarked asides.
Yes, I mean this play basically doesn't have any asides marked except for a few that got added when there were obviously asides earlier. So yeah, I mean it's that question asked in the chat. You know, is Nathaniel doing horrible asides, or is he actually just being horrible to people's faces? I wouldn't put it past Nathaniel because he's that kind of guy. But yeah, they probably function as asides. Kyle?
They sure felt like asides. That's how I was reading it. I think it came across that way. Yeah, it was shocking though too. The fetishizing of the blackness and the attractiveness and the violence of like that attractiveness. I mean, it was horrible. It was really horrible to read. Yeah.
Eric, and then Mark.
I was too busy laughing at like Arthur's moment of like, oh my God, you're so beautiful and you speak. Oh my God, because he just has this. I mean, like most male romantic leads, he has this thing of being like over the top and sort of I cannot breathe because you have to tell me everything or whatever. But yeah, it felt so over the top. She speaks as well. Oh yeah, but wow, what an achievement. But it just like I don't know, it just struck me as quite humorous after the really dodgy business.
Well, the problem with that exchange is, of course, it's demonstrating the beauty standard that's in place here, because it's the same person. Except now she's beautiful because she has wiped off the makeup, and that's what Arthur is demonstrating at that point. I mean the structure of that line, which is quite funny structurally, you know, of him doing this aside, and then she speaks to him, and you know, is structurally designed to be funny. It's designed for a laugh. It just, in the context of where it's just followed and what he's doing in what he's saying, it's a perfectly structurally interesting idea. It's just in this context just part of the awfulness. Mark, then Kyle.
Yeah, I was going to mention, for the sake of anyone who wasn't here earlier in the week, like that Nathaniel has appeared throughout the play as like a sex-crazed jerk. His first scene is like Phillis being like, hey, you slept with me, now you're just leaving, and then he's like, yeah, go be a prostitute now that you've learned the trade. Like he's been bad, so at least it is his stuff is through the lens of you know, I can only imagine, at least to a certain extent, audiences of the time, but definitely, you know, readers and audiences today see him as not great already before this. But even then it's like rather shocking to read all the actual words he uses.
Yeah, I mean, his character is entirely believable, and you know, and that's where again the educational element of this reading this text is very useful. Is, you know, it demonstrates very clearly all of the things that are going on here that are being exercised for comedic purposes. You know, that this is the additional element of the joke is, of course, that it's someone who's disguised and someone who he's not expecting. So there's going to be an interesting question about the way that joke is supposed to play out, which I'm sure will make us feel even more uncomfortable as we go on. Kyle, then Sarah, then Eric.
Yeah, I think you're, Mark, what you said about him being consistent, I think throughout is at least, you know, there. but I am struck, and I think it's as you said, Rob, the like Orientalism, the exoticism that's going on here is just so evident, and also the construction of whiteness, which is an important thing to look at with that next scene with Arthur. I think that's it's pretty awful.
Sarah.
Yeah, and it's true that the fact that he is such an awful character, helps. But also there's Millicent as well. I mean, because Millicent isn't just standing there saying nothing in this. She does actually reply to him, and her replies while she's in disguise, I found those really, really problematic as well. They made me deeply, deeply uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. And,
this... It's not just... What I'm saying is it's not just the awful character that's doing this. It's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's embedded in this is the expectation of what Millicent is going to have to perform. This is the performance of blackness going on here, and this is this idea that will, develop in culture into other directions that are as bad and worse in the ensuing centuries. Eric, then Susan, and then we will move on.
I'm starting to wonder if this is being like intentionally like over the top, ironic and shady, because like Arthur does say she looks like a ghost when she comes back on with all the white face and stuff. So like clearly she's either put too much white makeup on, or in wiping off all the black face, like sort of, I don't know, just like you could exaggerate that to the point that she either looks like a goth and then, but obviously that would still be shady AF. So I don't know, maybe not.
Well, and we haven't mentioned that that there's been a swap here going on. That Phillis has taken on this mantle. That she said as she was going, "I'll take on this mantle for you." So again, it's this question of how the disguise is functioning there as well. Although that's what I took to be said when Phillis said she was exiting earlier. Susan.
Just want to ask where we are. London?
Yes.
On the port?
London somewhere.
That's all we know.
I don't think we've got any more specific locality than
Okay, thank you.
Very briefly, Alan, very briefly, Kyle.
I'm just wondering at what point the switch is happening between Millicent and Phillis. I have a feeling that the interaction with Nathaniel is the actress or the actor playing Millicent. So the switch between the two of them is probably just about to happen.
Yes, no. So that initial, they say at the top of the scene that they're going to do a switch. So presumably Phillis has gone off. Is the person they're referring to later on in the scene as they're rehearsing the thing off stage, and that's the point where Millicent. I mean, this is also on just a straightforward logistical question of how you do this change, because Millicent has to change a makeup regime as well in the middle of a scene. Very briefly, Kyle and Sarah.
I just wanted to say really quickly that there's a lot of paintings that juxtapose whiteness and blackness as to Eric. And also wanted to mention Kim Hall's Things of Darkness, an amazing book if you're interested in this kind of juxtaposition of blackness and whiteness and all this racial stuff going on in the period.
Sarah, then we'll move on.
Yeah, just really quickly, something that Mark and I were flagging up in the chat before we were all just, everything went out of our minds with the just awfulness of this scene. There's another dead father just come into the picture that we've only just found out about. Like, it's not just Theophilus and Arthur's fathers, it's also Phillis's father. He's apparently dead and has disappeared as well. And the very fact that he's mentioned makes me think he is also going to reappear. And I don't think he's been mentioned before. So this is now a third long lost father.
Yes, outside of this sequence that we've been currently going in, there is a silly romp with missing fathers that is actually quite entertaining and enjoyable. The first session we were really enjoying this play, and then it sort of got mired in all sorts of other really awkward questions. But there is actually a fun play going on in alternate scenes, I think, at the moment.
And there were two, and now there's three.
There's now three missing, presumed dead fathers. We shall see. Let's find some more data as we conclude Act 4. Act 4, Scene 5. Enter Quicksands, Testy, Nathaniel, Vincent, and Edmond. Deep breaths, everyone.
Bonsoir, revels. Sit ye, gallants. Whilst, uncle, you shall see how I'll requite the mask they lent me on my wedding night. 'Twas but lent, gentlemen, your mask of horns, and all the private jeers and public scorns you have cast upon me since. Now you shall see how I'll return them and remarried be.
I hope he'll marry his Moor to Angus.
I'll give her something with her, if I catch her, and be it but in the coal house.
Flourish. Enter Inductor, like a Moor, leading Phillis, black and gorgeously decked with jewels.
Attend, gentlemen.
The Queen of Ethiop dreamt upon a night her black womb should bring forth a virgin white.
Black womb?
And she told her king, he told thereof his peers, till this white dream filled their black heads with fears.
A horse and blockheads.
Blackheads, I said. I'll come to you anon.
He puts the blockheads on 'em grossly.
Impudent rogue. He made the speeches last year before my Lord Marquis of Fleet Conduit.
Till this white dream filled their black heads with fear, for 'tis no better than a prodigy to have white children in a black country. So 'twas decreed that if the child proved white, it should be made away. O cruel spite! The queen cried out, and was delivered of a child black as you see. Yet wizards said that if this damsel lived married to be to a white man, she should be white as he.
The moral is, if Quicksands marry her, her face shall be white as his conscience.
The careful queen, conclusion for to try, sent her to marry England, Charlie, the fairest nation man yet ever saw, to take a husband, such as I shall draw, being an Egyptian prophet.
Draw me, and I'll hang thee.
Now come to you, gentlemen.
He looks in Edmund's hand.
My cheers.
You must not have her, for I find by your hand you have forfeited the mortgage of your land.
Pox your palmistry.
Now me.
Nor you, for here I plainly see
And looking at Vincent's hand.
you have sold and spent your life's annuity.
Oh, the devil take him. May the soothsayer.
I find from whence your skill comes. Yet take me for thy little princess of darkness, and if I rub her not as white as another can, let me be hung up with her for a new sign of the labor in vain.
Nor
And
you,
looking at Nathaniel's hand.
Nor you, sir, for the only suit you wear smells of the chest that holds in limbo lavender all your rest.
Would his brains were in thy belly that keeps the key on it.
And looking at Quicksand's hand.
This is the worthy man whose wealth and wit to make a white one must the black mark hit.
Your cheers are answered, gallants. Now your dance.
Enter the rest of the Moors. They dance an antic in which they use action of mockery and derision to the three gentlemen.
We applaud your device, and you'll give me leave to take your black bride here forth in a dance?
With all my heart, sir.
Music, play a galliard. You know what you promised me, Phillis.
But how can it be done?
How I am taken with the elevation of her nostrils. Play a little quicker, hark you. If I lead you a dance to a couch or a bedside, will you follow me?
I will do my best.
Nathaniel dances wildly, or vilely, rather. Quicksand and Testy laughs and looks off.
So, quick music, quick.
He's dancing.
Do you laugh at me?
Enter Arnold like a countryman and Buzard like a changeling. And as they enter, exit Nathaniel with Phillis, the music still playing.
By your leave, gentlefolks.
Oh, brave, oh, brave.
Oh, now.
What are these?
Hack ye there, hack ye there. Oh, brave pipes, hack ye there.
He sings and dances and spins with a rock and spindle.
Hey, toodle, loodle, loodle, loo.
What are you, men or devils?
Ah, you are advised enough, sir. If you please but to be short, I'll show you I am a Norfolk man, and my name is John Holverhead.
Softly, hold thy peace.
You cannot hear that side, it seems.
I know thee not, not I.
But you know my brother, Matthew Holverhead, deceased, with whom you place this simple child of yours.
I place no child in Norfolk, nor Suffolk, nor any folk. I say thou mistook me. Already.
I cannot hear that ear neither, sir.
What's the matter, Master Quicksands?
Han't any more jeers to put upon us? What are these?
Hey, toodle, loodle, loodle, loo.
My house.
I may not till I be righted. I come for my rights, and I will have right, or the best of the city shall hear on it.
I swear the rascals act as handsomely.
Oh, what art thou, fellow? What dost thou seek?
Tell that gentleman he is an upright magistrate, and will see thee righted.
I am a poor Norfolk man, sir, and I come to ease myself of a charge by putting off a child natural to the natural father here.
Thy child? Am I his father? Darest thou speak it?
Be not ashamed on it, sir. You are not the first grave and wise citizen that has got an idiot.
Here's good stuff towards.
Ha, ha, ha. With the hey, toodle, loodle, loodle, loo.
How should I get him? I was never married till this month.
How does other body bachelors get children?
With the hey, toodle, loodle, loodle, loo.
Have you been a bastard getter and marry my niece?
Now it works.
I'll teach you to get a bastard, sirrah.
He needs none of your skill, it seems.
Hey, toodle, loodle.
Well, gentlemen, to take your wonder off, I will lay truth before you. For a poor servant that I had, I undertook and paid for keeping of an idiot.
Who? Your man Buzard?
Even he.
Hey, toodle, loodle.
'Tis like this. This is the child. But for a certain sum which I did pay, 'twas articled that I should ne'er be troubled with it more.
Now what say you to that, sir?
'Tis not denied, sir. There was such agreement, but now he is another kind of charge.
Why, he gets something towards his living, methinks?
Buzard spins.
Yes, he has learned to thrip among the mothers. But, sir, what withal to do more harm than good by it, and that's the charge I speak of. We're not bound to keep your child and your child's children too. That feels like Arnold rather
I
than
think that's
Arthur.
probably Arnold. Yes, he has learned to thrip among the mothers, but, sir, withal to do more harm than good by it, and that's the charge I speak of. We are not bound to keep your child and your child's children too.
How's that?
Sir, by his cunning at the rock and twirling of his spindle on the thrip's skins, he has fetched up the bellies of 16 of his thrip sisters.
Hey, toodle, loodle, loodle.
Is't possible?
So well he takes after his father here, it seems.
Take heed of that, friend. You heard him say it was his man's child.
He shall not fright me with that, though it be a great man's part to turn over his bastards to his servants. I am none of his hirelings, nor his tenants I, but I know what I say, and I know what I come about, and not without advise. And you may know that Norfolk is not without as knavish counsel as another country may be. Let his man Buzard be brought forth, and see what he will say to it.
Hey, toodle, loodle.
Wretch, that I was to put away that fellow. But stay, where's my wife? My wife? My wife!
What say you, sir?
My Moor, I would say. Which way went my Moor?
Your Ethiopian princess? Nat has gone to dance with her in private, because you laughed out of him of all account. The countenance here.
Mischief on mischief. Worse and worse, I fear.
What do you fear? Why stare you? Are you frantic?
I must have wits and fits, my fancies and vagaries.
Your jeers upon poor gallants.
How do you feel yourself?
Hey, toodle-oodle.
Ask your father blessing, Timsy.
Hey, toodle-oodle.
Upon your knees, man.
Upon all my knees. Ah, hey, toodle-oodle.
Enter Nathaniel and Phillis, pulled in by the Moors.
What was it to you, you slaves? Must you be peeping?
What's the matter now?
What was it to you, you rascals?
Is that Eric? I think that's Eric. Is it Eric? I forget.
It is to us, sir. We were hired to dance and speak speeches and to do the gentleman true service in his house. And we will not see his house made a bawdy house and make no speech of that.
What is the business?
Marry, sir, a naughty business. This gentleman has committed a deed of darkness with your Moor, sir. We all saw it.
What deed of darkness? Speak it plainly.
Darkness or lightness, call it which you will. They have lain together, made this same a bawdy house. How will you have it?
I'm done. Most wretched. Oh, I'm confounded. I see no art can keep a woman honest.
I love her and will justify my act.
And I the best of any man on earth.
Thou speakest good English now.
Oh, ruin, ruin, ruin!
Hey, toodle-oodle.
I take you on, sir, for an ugly fiend.
She is my wife, gentlemen.
How,
sir?
sir?
Sir.
Your
Your
wife?
Wife?
In conceit, you mean?
I say, my lawful wife, your niece, and so disguised by me on purpose.
I said he was mad before. Ha ha ha.
Now I applaud my act. 'Twas sweet and brave.
I'll be divorced before a court in public.
Now will I use authority and skill. Friends, guard the doors. None shall depart the house.
Content.
Content.
Shall I, sir, and my charge stay too?
Oh!
Marry, sir, shall you?
I fear we shall be smoked then.
No, fear nothing.
You know your chamber, huswife. I'll wait on your master tonight. We will not part until tomorrow day. Justice and law lights everyone his way.
Is this your merry night, sir?
Oh!
Why roar you so?
It is the cuckold's howl, common cry about the city.
Oh!
Hey, toodle-oodle.
And exit. Okay. On a structural level, I'm going to talk about this on a structural level about how this action is all laid out. This is an incredibly clever bit of stagecraft. The author has managed to fit together a whole series of things set up earlier in the play, and is making a very complicated scene actually quite clear as to what's going on. And the punctuation of Buzzard's performance throughout adds an additional layer to that. Now, that's on the structural level. As we zoom in, of course, what's going on with Buzzard is this really awful performance of the, air quotes, village idiot throughout the scene, which of course is supposed to be hilarious. Nathaniel has of course run off with the wrong person and has been caught, and of course we know plot-wise that it's the right person because it's the person he wronged earlier, who he now will be forced to marry, etc. when all the things come out later on. We know that, so that again the structure that the author is doing here is incredibly accomplished. It's just awful and painful, and I want it to die. If you want to understand how to structure a comedy, this is this is not the first time I've said this on a really problematic play of going, you want to understand how to structure a certain kind of thing? this is a very useful example of how to structure a complex, unfolding series of comedic events. This is very accomplished stuff, but yet no. Thoughts in the room, because I think I've run out of things there. We have the addition of please somebody wave, because I can keep talking, but I will. Yes, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, a lot going on here. The one thing we've talked in the previous session, because the first session we did, we hadn't really touched on any of like these problematic things at all yet. It hadn't come into the picture yet. And then the second session, it started to. That's where we got the whole like, oh, like you said you wanted to be in disguise in my house so that no one attempts to have sex with you. Quicksand says, like, let's do it my way by painting you black. So that started. And then also this plot of them learning that Quicksands has this illegitimate child that he has spirited off into the country, who is referred to as an idiot. That has been set up. And then, here we have Buzard pretending to be that role to get back at Quicksands. And Arnold is, in on it as well. So what I'm trying to figure out, we've been discussing in the previous sessions, and it's hard to really get into it yet, is like, can we do could someone do a production of this play where they can remove and or change all of the blackface plots? And that's certainly gotten more complicated here. I still feel like structurally maybe you can do it with some other sort of disguise, maybe. But what I've been thinking as we've been going through the sign is through this scene is the whole, we touched on the ableism aspect in the previous session. And that comes up here very thoroughly. This poorly determined language of hey toodle loodle over and over and over. And whether if we can have like the Arnold saying like, I know about this illegitimate son business without having this bad performance of what Buzard is doing here. It definitely gets complicated.
Yeah, I mean, that is the conceit through which we go into these sessions, which is talking about, we're going to do a production. I think this one's dead in the water now. I mean, last time I was saying, well, we could cut this. You could do something clever, maybe to get around the really awfulness of the last session. The thing is, it's now baked in. It's structure. It's part of the structure of this scene. I mean, for all the problems of the Tay Toodle-Oodle, it is structurally quite important to what this scene is doing throughout. And I think you get to the point where everything's going to start turning to mush if you start taking all the things out. So at the moment, I'm now thinking this is a play to take apart and use for parts, because there's some really good bits in this play. But they're going to have to be transplanted somewhere else and have something else done with. And there are plays which might yield to some of these characters and some of these scenes being there to inject additional character in, because the playwright can write character and situation really well. Kyle?
Now, I wasn't here for the middle part, so I could be completely off, but I was thinking maybe, I mean, the fetishization of race that's going on here, that's so problematic. A lot of times that happens with the homoerotic and cross-dressing. So I wondered if you could like switch it to that. And also I really felt like when I was playing Buzard that I was like dancing around and spinning and then saying this. And I was wondering if you could make him a child and just a bastard. That might be one way too, because he feels more like a child than anything else.
Well, that's true. Rachel?
I think this is going to be a great play for teaching. I might end up teaching it, but
yeah.
And I take your point about structurally, it's funny, and even this scene in and of itself. I mean, they keep interrupting the inductor, and the inductor's getting hissy because he wants to introduce the mask. But then the content of the mask is, of course, horrendous. But it's been set up before, but the reference to Johnson's Mask of Blackness, the ladies at the court did this, therefore it's fine for us to have a mask in blackface. But it's awful.
Yeah, and especially as Phillis takes up the dialogue mantle of what is performative
with the
language going to be in this function. Which I think marks a decision to just say that as blandly and as textually accurately, but as possible, was, I think, the only way we're going to get through this without more trauma. Eric.
Well, interestingly though, the actual person, the actual Moor, who is not clearly, obviously not painted in this. Or blackface, I think. I don't know.
I think he's just some guy who's he in that sense that he should really be down as villager.
Okay.
I think
it's just interesting because like his dialogue is perfectly normal as opposed to like the sort of stunted dialogue that we had with Millicent pretending to be a Moor rather than,
No, he's just some guy. He's there to do the dancing. I think that's the logic of who he is.
Yeah, also I was going to refer back to Rachel's comment about the Mask of Blackness. I was just going to say it's interesting how the Mask of Blackness is a lot more elegant in dealing with blackness, sort of, even if it is compared to this. But yeah, I know.
Well, actually, let's take the point on the Mask of Blackness is something that is effectively being used as an excuse for doing this, and that we have a precedent, and it was the court did it, so therefore we can all do it, and that's fine, and that's sometimes how culture works. Of imitation of other forms. Rachel, you were going to say something.
Yeah, also the scene's really interesting. It's really meta theatrical because you have the performance and then the performance of idiocy with Buzard as well. It's one performance bleeding into another. It's reminding me of the Changeling again. I know I mentioned that the other day with the wedding mask and the performance of the madhouse scene that comes part of the wedding mask. Anyway, it's
and it's amazing what the difference of a mode shift does to a text, where it's much easier to say this is critical, whereas in a comedy it's harder necessarily to say that this is forming a critical function. Anyway, we have Act 5 to get through, but I'll go to Susan very briefly.
Just apologising for the drums. I think I had Morris dancers outside.
Don't worry, you can ask the council to put something down for that. It's
I'm
fine.
just thinking, hey, nonny, is there a joke here about Norfolk? And I'm just adding that if you thought that was a weird sound, it was. Sorry,
I don't think it's coming through, but we will keep you posted. Act 5, Scene 1 then. Enter Meanwell, Rashly, Winlosse, and host.
Now, my good host, since you have been our friend and only council keeper in our absence, to you, before we visit our own houses, we'll render a relation of our journey, and what the motive was that drew us forth. 'Tis true, we did pretend a deadly quarrel, and at great bowling match upon Blackheath. Went off, took horse, and several ways forecast to meet at Dover, where we met good friends, and in one bark passed over unto France. Here 'twas supposed to fight like fashion followers that thither fly, as if no sand but theirs could dry up English blood.
By the way, suppose that supposition had been true, and the supposed deaths of you had moved your sons to combat in earnest. Both been killed indeed, as you in jest. Where then had been your witty subtlety? My noble Meanwell, and my brave Rashly. Ha! I tried you there.
Thou keepst thy humour still, my running host.
My humour was, nor is, nor must be lost. But to the question, was it wisely done, when each of you might so have lost a son?
We had no fear of that, sir, by the common rule of the world. Where do you find sons that have lives and lands will venture both for their dead fathers that are gone and cared for? Nor was it only to make trial of what husbands they would be, how spend or save, how manage or destroy, but how one or both might play the tyrants over their poor tenants, yet fall by prodigality into the compters, and then the dead by pulling off a beard, after a little chiding and some whining, to set the living on their legs again and take them into favor. Pish old play plots. No, sir, our business runs another course. Know you this gentleman yet?
Nor yet, nor yet. Best wits may have bad memories. I forget.
It is my part to speak. Mine host, you've known me. My name is Winlosse, a poor gentleman, yet richer by my liberty than I was for 6 years spent, till these good gentlemen in charity redeemed me.
Master Winlosse! I thought I could as soon forget my crisscross. Yet, pardon me, you've been 6 years gone, and all of them in prison, saving one in Dunkirk, as I ween.
It is most true, and that from thence these gentlemen redeemed me at their own charge, by paying £500, which was my ransom.
'Tis a rare example.
Worthy brass tables and a pen of steel.
No more, good neighbour Winlosse. What we did was to discharge our conscience of a burden got, and 'twas all we got by your undoing, and a sad suit at law.
I do remember. Without ruin, I'll tell you. That sad cause in which you joined against him overthrew him and all his family. But this worthy act of yours in his enlargement crowns your piety, puts him in the way of better fortune than his first tottering estate could promise.
Shut up at that. Shut up that point. You have heard no ill, you say, among our sons and daughters in our absence?
Not any, sir, at all. But Mr. Winlosse, you that have passed so many sorrows can, I make no doubt, hear one with manly patience.
'Tis of my daughter, Phillis. Is she dead?
'Tis well, and been no worse with her. I fear she's gone t'other way of all flesh. Do you hear?
Why dost thou tell him this?
To have him right. His daughter's wrong upon that wicked beast that has seduced her.
Who is, canst thou tell?
Even the rank rider of the town, sir. One Master Nathaniel Winlosse. You know him.
He has my son's acquaintance.
And mine's too.
You may be proud on it, if they escape his doctrine.
But does he keep my daughter to his lust?
No, sir, 'tis worse than so. He's cast her off to the common, as 'tis feared.
Oh, wretchedness!
How camest thou by this knowledge?
Sir, I'll tell thee. I have in the house a guest, was once your man, and served your son since you went o'er, I'm sure on't. Though he has now got a young spark to his master, that's a brace of geldings in my stable, and lusty ones they are. That's by the way.
But to the point, I pray thee.
Sir, the young gallant is abroad. The man skulks close to the house here, and has done these 2 days, spending his time with me in drink and talk. Most of his talk runs with me in upon wenches mainly, and who loves whom, and who keeps home, and so forth. And he told me the tale that I tell you, twixt Winlosse and your done and undone daughter.
Mine host? Cry mercy, gentlemen!
Enter Rafe at that point just now.
Nay, come on.
I told you he was very shy to be seen.
My old master alive again? And he that he killed too?
Whom do you serve? Was I so ill a master that in my absence you forsook my children? Or how have they misused you? Why dost look so like an apprehended thief? I fear thou servest some robber or some murderer. Art thou become thyself one? If the devil have so possessed thee, strive to turn him out. Add my prayers to help thee. What's the matter?
Oh, honoured master, I'll keep nothing from you. There is an act of horror now on foot upon revenge of your supposed murder, of which to stand and tell the circumstance would waste the time and hinder the prevention of your son's murder and your daughter's ruin.
Oh,
fearful.
fearful!
Let not your amazement drown your reason in delay. Your sudden haste was never so required as now. Stay not to ask my why or whither. As ye go, I shall inform ye.
Go, we follow thee.
And they exit. Oh, look, I like this play. It's positively GNS. It's really fun. It's really bouncy. The three fathers have all coincidentally arrived at the same place. They've met up with mine host Wikipedia, who tells them all the stuff they need to know, and then enter Rafe to say, "Plot's happening off stage. Quick, run! What's happening? I can't tell you. It's too long to explain, and the audience will get bored." So I like these moments. It's structural, but also quite fun, and that's fine. I need to nip out for 2 seconds, so I'll ask you to talk amongst yourselves. I'll go to Alan first. Alan, then find someone else to talk about it.
Yeah, what's got me is that the smell of scorching rubber, because the whole play has done an absolute screeching turn. We've got 3 people who we've only vaguely heard of before suddenly turn up together with this random host to sort of keep the thing moving.
Well,
Very strange.
to be fair, the fathers kept being mentioned ad nauseum. I mean, we've only had I think 1 or 2 mentions of Phillis's father quite recently, but the other 2 fathers, I mean, that we've kept being reminded of them from pretty much scene 1. So I think it's less a sort of screech of rubber and more a kind of, oh, here they are finally kind of thing. Isn't it? I don't know. What do people think?
Well, I think it's kind of like I think it was Tragedy of Mariam, where like Herod is mentioned as like how Herod, her husband, is mentioned as having died in the first, or possibly died in the first act, and then like he turns up in Act 4 or 5, and you're like, oh, so that's where you were.
Yeah.
Except I like how the host kind of goes, oh, nothing happened. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? They're getting along fine. And then just like 5 minutes later, Rafe turns up going, well, the shit has hit the fan, and we have to do something about it.
The question is, with the young players in this one, how many of the shits?
Okay. Any more on this particular scene? It's very straightforward. Shall we move straight into the next one? Yes, I'm sure it'll be not actually, it doesn't immediately look too problematic, but I'm sure we'll get there. Act 5, Scene 2. Enter Dionysia, as before in man's habit, sword and pistol.
What a fierce conflict twixt revenge and love! Like an unnatural civil war now rages in my perplexed breast. There, fight it out, to it pell-mell my thoughts. The battle's hot. Now for the day. Revenge begins to stagger, and her distracted army at an instant routed and put to fight. O conquering love, thou hast got the victory, and now I sue, like a rent kingdom by opposite thoughts, unto the sovereignty to be the liege right. Take me to the protection, kingly love, and having captivated my revenge, oh, play not now the tyrant. A firm hope persuades me no. But when I shall reveal myself, I shall obtain Theophilus' love, which now is 10 times sweeter in my thought than my revenge was, when 'twas first begot.
Enter Theophilus and Lucy.
What? Still alone? We have been seeking thee.
Oh, 'tis the service that I owe you, sir.
Indeed, you are too pensive. 2 whole days and nights among us, and no more familiar.
Enter Arthur in his false beard. Remember that. Leading in Millicent, veiled. Pages, they stand aloof.
May I crave your name, sir?
That's the little purpose. My business is the thing. Yonder's the star. What young gentleman is that your mistress Arm appears so courteous to?
One she thinks well on, sir. No matter for his name, as you said, neither.
He seems some well-graced suitor. 'Tis my fear if he should now. I must be just for, however.
Sir, a gentleman desires to speak with you.
Dost thou not know his name?
He will not tell it, sir.
You treacherous boy, do you bring you know not whom? Oh, 'tis the gentleman I was bound to sue. Sister, the workman's man alive? Thanks, my good boy. What's she he brings in veiled and this way leads?
Sir, though I'm still a stranger in my visit, to works of gentleness I'm partly known. There, if you chance to inquire of me hereafter, when I shall more deserve your inquisition, I may be found, if not exact in service, at least a poor pretender in my wishes. And so, presenting this white gift, more modest than the most secret duty of man's friendship can ever be, I take my leave.
This man would breed at every time he have been a wanderer. Sir, leave me not thus lost. Let me once know you and what this mystery means. This bears a shape I may not entertain. I have not set my vow against all womankind since heaven was married to my first love, and must not willingly discover a temptation with mine own hand.
How shy and nice we are to meet our happiness, like dying wretches afraid to go to rest. Because you shall be guilty of no breach, I'll ope the casket for you.
He unveils her and slips away.
Bless me, it is. Warm, so love cherish me and comfortable.
Oh, death, my hopes are blasted.
How is it with you, sir?
Might a man credit his own senses now? This was my Millicent. How think you, sister?
Indeed, I am so, my Theophilus.
She lives, and he is lost to me forever. I shall be straight discovered too. False love, thou hast dealt loosely with me, and revenge I re-invoke thy nobler spirit. Now possess me wholly. Let it not be thought I came and went off idly.
Sir, something troubles you. See, your kinswoman, my brother, stands entranced too. Brother? Noble lady, speak to him.
I was in my discovery too sudden. Strong rapture of his joy transmutes him. Sir, be not wonderstruck, or if you be, let me conjure you by the love you bore me. Return unto yourself again. Let not a wandering thought fly from you, to examine from whence or how I came. If I be welcome, I am your own Millicent.
And in that so blessed a treasure, that the wealth and strength of all the world shall never purchase from me. Heaven may be pleased again to take thee, but I'll hold so fast that we'll go hand in hand. Besides, I hope this mercy will not part us. But where's the man now, more desired than ever, than brought you hither?
You ask in vain for him. I can resolve you all, but for the present he will be known to none.
This is a cruel goddess, to put thankfulness out of all action. Sarah, how went he?
I know not, sir. He vanished suddenly.
Vanished? Oh, good Lucy, help to hold her fast. She may not vanish too. Spirits are subtle.
This was my fear. Will you have patience and sit in this chair while I relate my story?
I'll be as calm in my extremest deeps as the couch where a sweet conscience sleeps.
'Tis now determinate as fate, and so at the whole cluster of them.
As Dionysia presents her pistol, enter Rashly, Meanwell, Winlosse, Rafe, and Arthur to save the day.
Bless me! Ha! My father's living. Then the cause is dead of my revenge.
What, is he killed outright, or else but hurt? Theophilus, my boy, dead, past recovery. Stay, the murderess there. Look you, sir, to her. I suspect your son, too, is not without a hand in it by the haste we met him in.
He is not hurt at all, my honoured father, as I desire your blessing, but stricken with an ecstasy of joy.
Look up, my boy. How dost? Here's none but friends.
Sure, Sure, we're then in Elysium, where all are friends and filled with equal joy. Earth can have no felicity like this, if this be anything.
Thou canst not see nothing. Look well about thee, man.
I see, I feel, I hear and know all ye well, all. But who knows what he knows, sees, feels, or hears? 'Tis not an age for a man to know in himself.
He is not mad, I know by that.
If I know anything, you are my father.
Thou art a wise child.
And I beseech your blessing.
Thou hast it. Millicent, I have heard your story, and Lucy, you betwixt you soothe his fancy. He will be well. Keep him company, Arthur, and Lucy, bid him welcome.
More than life, sir.
You, Dionysia would be chid a little, but sir, let me entreat her pardon.
Dry your eyes, you have it. Go instantly, resume your sex's habit, and with the rest be ready, if we call ye to Quicksand's house. The rumor of our coming already calls us thither to be assistant to Justice Testy in a ponderous difference.
How does he now? He's fallen into a slumber. In with him, all I pray. He shall have all our cares.
Exit Theophilus with Theophilus in the chair.
Come, my friend, Meanwell, now to Quicksand's course to keep it out of wrangling lawyers' jaws. The face of danger is almost made clean, and may conclude all in the comic scene.
And exit Rashly, everybody else, etc. That plot line has moved in a nice dramatic moment. I like this idea. Oh, shall I kill him? Shall I kill? Oh, I don't know. Oh, and saved in the last minute. There was some jeopardy. There was some people meeting each other again. This plot line is generally speaking completely unproblematic because it's sort of just fun, and I like it. And I'm sort of disappointed we're going to go back to the other plot line in a second. Susan.
Well, when you've been brandishing guns and then she says nothing, this is not written by an actor, because there's no completion of that. Felt like that scene for that character was like, she's declaring love, then she's lost it. Please explain it to me, Robert. I couldn't understand. And then the next minute she's trying to kill someone. I got lost.
Yeah, well, she's trying to kill the person she loves. I mean, that's her torment, and then the moment comes, and then suddenly her father's there. It's a mark.
I was just going to briefly explain. She, throughout the whole play, thinking that Theophilus's dad killed her own dad, has been wanting revenge on Theophilus to bring it out to take it out on his family. So that was for like acts and acts, but then she went in disguise as a boy to get close to try to kill him, but then she sees him and she falls in love. And so, yeah, she's got that, like, she's feeling both things. And then, yeah, she decides on love, but then she's like, oh no, the woman he loves is still alive, and apparently they're going to get married now? Well, I guess I only have one thing left, and that's to get my revenge.
It's pretty great set of things to act, actually.
But once we hit that sort of moment, everything does get a little sort of stuff, and we need to tell you stuff, and you know, there is a bit of that sort of untidiness that you get towards the end of a plot line like this. You know, they're trying to wrap it up as neatly as possible, but there's almost, you can't do brilliant dialogue for this kind of stuff because it's just like things. Eric.
Well, what I found hilarious was that Rashly recognizes Dionysia immediately, whereas like she's in men's habit and all that stuff, so clearly no one else has recognized her before this point.
Yes, early modern disguises work until they don't. Until dramatically they don't need to anymore. They're as effective as plot. Alan.
We've also got the line in there of a wise child that knows his own father.
Yes. You are my father. No, it's not quite the quote. But no. So it's it's a resolution. And it's true. Yes, I think we could probably have a little bit more from some of them after the moment. But you never know. We might get a little bit of that in the final scene, but maybe not. We'll see. Okay. It's a much easier one to discuss. Well, not it's a harder one to discuss because in a sense there isn't anything to discuss. Some fun stuff happened and then it's over. Let's go back into problematic land. So Act 5, Scene 3. Enter Vincent, Edmond, Testy, Rashly, and Meanwell. So, okay, that's interesting. Is this sexually a continuation of the same scene or time passing? Odd. Anyway, I'll take it as read. People, come on.
Come, we will hear this cause tried.
See, the judges have taken their seats while we stand here for evidence.
Testy, you are muted.
I'll do that again, unmuted. My worthy friends, you are coming to a cause as rare as was your unexpected coming from the supposed grave.
To the point, I pray.
How quick you are. Good Mr. Rashly. No, though I craved your assistance, only I supply the chief place in authority.
And much good do it you. I have other business. Your niece, sir, was too good for my poor son.
How's that?
Nay, gentlemen, we came to end a business. Pray begin no new one first.
Well, sir, I had done.
Pray, sir, fall to the question.
Bring in the parties. The first branch of the question arises here. If Quicksand's wife, my niece, be dead or living? Speak, gentlemen. What can you say to this?
Quicksands affirmed to us that she was dead.
Though, since in a distracted passion, he says she lives.
She lives, and is that strumpet, from whom I sue to be divorced.
That Moor there? Did you wed her since your fair wife's decease?
That same is she, and all the wives I had. That black but artificial tincture laid by my jealousy upon her face.
This is most strange.
Braver and braver still. I aimed but at a cloud and clasped a June. Will you be only mine?
I have sworn it ever.
Then I am made forever.
Remove her, and let instant trial be made to take the blackness off.
And we can infer the exit of Phillis somewhere around here.
Then if a shame and my firm truth appear not, punish me.
However, your consent to be divorced from Millicent is irrecoverable.
Before you all, I'll forfeit my estate if e'er I re-accept her.
Then she's free.
Now, Master Winlosse.
Now, for the honor of Winters.
Your fact is manifested and confessed?
In fewest words, it is.
Are you content to take this woman now in question, if she be found no more, to be your wife in holy marriage, to restore her honour?
Or else, before you all, let me be torn to pieces, having first those dearest members, in which I have most delighted, daubed with honey.
This protestation is clear, without respect of portion now, or that she is my niece. For you must know she is no niece of mine that could transgress in that lean kind, nor must she ever look for favour at my hands.
I am content to take her as she is, not as your niece, but as his counterfeit servant, hoping he'll give me with her all about her.
My chains and jewels worth £1,000. I'll pay for it for my folly.
It will be twice the price of my pawned goods. I'll put the rest up for your jeers past on my friends and me.
Meanwell?
You are agreed.
To take her with all faults?
Enter Phillis, white.
I take you at your word.
Ah!
Hell and her changes.
Led by the hope of justice, I am bold to fix here fast, here to repair my ruins.
The devil looks 10 times worse with a white face. Give me it black again.
Are we not one, from the beginning?
Get thee from me.
Sirrah, you have your suit and your dessert. 'Tis your best part to pass it patiently.
This Winlosse daughter, we have found the error.
Found it here. Where's my wife?
Aye, that's the point must now be urged. The law asks her at your hands. Answer me, where is she?
I'm at my joy's end and my wits together.
You have brought her fame in question. 'Tis revenged, now you are both for her life and honour.
Speak, villain, murderer. Where is my niece?
I've snared myself exceeding cunningly. That quean there knows.
Take heed, sir, what you say. If she must be my wife, hands off, I pray. These are my goods she wears. Give me 'em, Phil. For fear he snatch, I'll put 'em in my pockets.
Sweetheart, my own will hold them.
Sweetheart already. We are soon familiar.
You know we are no strangers.
Well, Master Quicksands, because you cannot answer it, to put you by the fear of halter stretching. Since you've engaged a word and the whole estate to be divorced, and you, good Mr. Testy, if you'll be willing yet that my poor son to wed your niece, as I shall find it lawful, I'll undertake her safe recovery.
I have in heart given her your son already.
And he has her already.
Enter Theophilus, Millicent, Arthur, Lucy, Dionysia, and Winlosse.
Thank you. I
As
said that, but
very-
you couldn't even see you could see my lips moving, but you couldn't hear me say it. Thank you.
As for example, Caesar.
See, the heaven that I'm justly fallen from. Oh, may I yet find favour?
Never here. Hadst thou not given thy faith to a divorce on forfeiture of thine estate, which thou dost hold more precious, or couldst now redeem that great engagement, and then multiply thy past estate into a tenfold sum, make me inheritrix of all, and the last assure me to die within a week, I'll not remarry thee, adulterate beast, that brokest thy former wedlock in thy base lust with that thy servant there.
What a pox, no, I trow. My wife that must be?
'Twas your own doing to put me to my shifts.
The devil shift you. Then you will be sure of change enough.
Who's Winlosse? There we are.
I'm sorry. Oh, shame unto my blood.
I will henceforward counsel all my friends to wed their whores at first before they go out of their hands.
How can you answer this?
I fully deny it upon my oath.
So do I, and safely for any act.
That's well again.
It was but in attempt, I told my mistress. Had it been done, sure I should ne'er have spoke on it.
Those are the counsels women can only keep.
Nothing in act, I assure you.
In him 'twas foul enough, though. Oh, hateful vice and age.
'Tis an old vice grown in him from his youth, of which bring forth for proof his bastard there.
Enter Buzard and Arnold.
I fear we shall be whipped for counterfeits. My long coats have a grudging of the lash.
I see my old master's face again, and I will fear nothing.
Then I will bear up again. Hey diddy daddy, come play with the baby. Dindle dandle on thy knee and give him a penny and a new coat, oh ho.
Grief and shame is endless.
Let not grief master you, Master Quicksands.
We are your friends, and pity your afflictions. What will you give us now, and we'll release you forever of this changeling charge of yours?
And prove he's not your bastard, speak now roundly.
I'll cancel both your mortgages.
A match. Now look you, sir, your pardoned servant, all but this bed he wore, for loss of which will recompense you.
Oh, Buzard, Buzard, Buzard!
Oh, master, 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 your servant, and no bastard, nor father of your idiot in Norfolk. He's there, and well, sir, I heard lately of him.
How couldst thou use me thus?
How could you turn me away so?
Ah, come hither, Buzzard. Thou shalt not want a master.
Nor I hope, while my old master lives. You are welcome home, sir.
And thou to me, my good old servant Arnold.
Welfare and misery of a man's own sequin. A tough one, too. Will hold him tacked to his end. This comes with wiving at 63. Would dolting foals were all served so for me.
To shut up all, Theophilus, take my niece. We'll shortly find a lawful course to marry ye.
I will take care for it. Arthur, take my daughter well bestowed, with a glad father's blessing.
And mine with it, wishing my daughter were as well bestowed.
Sir, take no thought for me, till my strict life, by making man and the world mere strangers to me, in expiation of my late transgression gainst maiden modesty, shall render me some way deserving the honour of a husband.
Who's Rashly?
Spoke like a good new woman.
How now? Do you look squeamish on your fortune? Sir, his gentleman shall maintain her blood as worthy as your own till you defile it. 'Tis best you cleanse it again.
Gadzooks, I will. Forgive me for swearing and turn precision, and pray in the nose that all my brethren whoremasters spend no worse.
My father.
Oh, my child!
Though Master Quicksand made a mock marriage with his English Moor, I'll not mock thee.
Enough, enough. I hope all pleased at last. But Master Quicksand's here.
I yield to fortune with an humble knee. If you be pleased, your pleasure shall please me.
And we go into an epilogue.
Now, let me be a modest undertaker for us the players, the play, and the playmaker. If we have failed in speech or action, we must crave a pardon. If the comedy, either in mirth or matter, be not right, as was intended unto your delights, the poet in hope of favour doth submit unto your censure both himself and it, wishing that as you are judges in the cause, you judge but by the ancient comic laws, not by their course who in this latter age have sown such pleasing errors on the stage, which he no more will choose to imitate than they to fly from truth and run the state. But whether I avail, you have seen the play, and all that in defense the poet can say is that he cannot mend it by a jest in the epilogue exceeding all the rest, to send you off upon a champing bit more than the scenes afforded of his wit. Nor studies he the art to have it said he skulks behind the hangings as afraid of a hard censure, or pretend to brag, here's all your money again, brought in the bag, if you applaud not, when before the word 'twas parcelled out upon the shearing board. Such are fine helps, but are not practised yet by our plain poet, who cannot forget his wonted modesty, and humble way for him and us in his yet doubtful play, which, if received or but allowed by you, we and the play are yours, the poet too.
And exit. Okay. I quite like that epilogue. I think we could use that for quite a few plays, though never has the line, if the comedy either in mirth or matter be not right. Okay, it's irritating because we can't use either of the titles for any play that we're going to do, because odds on both the English Moor and the Mock Marriage are both getting cut, because I don't see them surviving. I with some tweaks, I still quite like the Dionysia lost father's plotline. I think that plotline works perfectly well and is nicely silly, and with a few tweaks as to who he actually gets married at the very end. I think that's a perfectly salvageable short 90-minute. But the Millicent and probably most of the Phillis stuff is not going to survive, or at least in my mind, of what a popular entertainment should look like. Though there are some really good scenes early on with some of those characters. I thought some of the Millicent's early scenes were excellent, and we could definitely do something with them in isolation. There's something very interesting to be done with the whole Horn cuckolding thing with the older father. There must be some other plays that don't have quite as good material that we could perhaps crowbar that into. And I say, yeah, the just tidying up Dionysia's closing narrative, and I think she could happily marry Theophilus after the shooting. I think that would be quite interesting. You could do all sorts of interesting.
Could I ask? I mean, has she been in a nunnery or something? I thought for a minute she was going to just go off and be an anchoress, which would be fantastic.
It wasn't really clear where she was going after that, was it? It was like
my strict life. I'm on her side.
Yeah, in this instance, I think it's just I'm going to become a woman again after being a man. Kind of logic, but it's not like she's saying what she's going to do next, which is sort of irritating because I'd kind of like her to, do something. Mark,
it reads to me like she's saying, yeah, sure, I'll get married eventually, but maybe I need some time to just chill first.
Maybe I should stop being angry, because she's been angry for most of the play, and maybe she'd just like to have a cup of tea and, just not be angry for a while and see what that's like. Kyle?
Anger's a good engine.
Yeah, there's some, I don't know, it's an interesting play. And I was thinking about what Rachel said about teaching it. And I mean, it feels like there's so much racism that it almost feels, I feel like, oh my God, I can't even stand the idea of teaching it. But then on the other hand, there's weird stuff going on, like these really strong females and, that are interesting. And then also this fetishization that's so violent and vile. And the construction of whiteness, maybe it would be worth teaching. I don't know, but yeah.
I think, in terms of using it as materials, I think you've got to, choose your areas very, very carefully and how you signpost it. I mean, it was, I'd scanned through this play. I didn't really know what was coming. So when we hit some of those moments today where it was just like, what the hell is this coming right at us? It genuinely is utterly shocking. But that is, as I say, an educational experience on some level, and I say how you broker that to people so that they are prepared for what they're getting is the important thing there. We've looked at it similarly in the tragic vein. Lust's Dominion had the same sort of problem as this, in the sense we spent the first half of the play going, okay, this has got some issues, but there's something interesting here in terms of how you might be able to develop what the racism within the characters and how they're relating to other characters in it. And then you get to the end and it's just apocalyptically horrific that you kind of go, well, actually no, I don't think you could use it again for teaching, but I don't think you could stage it, which is a shame because it's got some really, again, interesting subplots that are really, and if you want to know how a thriller should be structured, it's actually quite a useful example of how those texts work. So I'm not going to push the question of how do we stage it today. I think we've got various options. I think there is a very short play that just deals with the fun subplots. I think there are scenes that can be workshopped and played with, and I think there is an educational resource. But to stage it, no, it's not going to happen. I'll go to Mark, then I'll go to Susan.
Yeah, I think it would take a lot of work from someone. But I think it's conceivable that maybe someone could, again, change the whole disguise thing to just something more mundane, and do a lot of cuts to the scenes that are around that and some changing of language to make it not about that at all. It would take a lot, and like there would be some sort of mask or a little play within a play there, but be something completely different. It would be a lot of work and more kind of possibly just straight up rewriting certain portions of those scenes. But it is a long play. Like it's not like the length of the play is gonna miss, chopping off 4/5 of a certain, certain scene here or there. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say without like, trying and being like, no, this plot just doesn't work if we do this. But I think it's possible that maybe it could work. But either way, I'm looking forward to reading other plays by this playwright at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that he doesn't do this very often. I don't think he does. I think this is an outlier on that level. But again, we had in the scene we've just done, we had that moment of, oh, you're so much more beautiful now that you are white, kind of elements, and it was just like. It really is baked into the nature of the disguise, is that it's another disguise that someone has put on and therefore they are totally unrecognisable. So that Millicent and Phillis could be the same person and you don't see it because that's playing on a whole other area as well. Even though it is also in conversation with early modern disguise generally, as someone puts on a beard and they're suddenly somebody else. Which when it's beards is fun, but odd. But it's not when it's something else. Susan.
This whole thing reminds me of those still lives, slightly queasy, where you have a blackamoor, you have a lute, you have a shell, you have pearls. There's a painting, the Paston still life. And this has all this kind of queasy stuff. They're about trade, they're about money. This is slave. This is why I'm asking, do you think it might be on the port where all these possible, people as cash? The only way I could see it is like a still life and all these strange things coming to life. Is that an odd idea?
Well, the only real connection we're getting to money is through the usury angle with quicksand. And it's. I mean, this is the nature of where the wealth is coming from, but it's not like we're connecting to merchants. And I don't know if any of the other characters are really talking about business in that fashion. So it's not like it's doing any of that overtly. And that's. And where you could connect that connective tissue in a more obvious way, and I say it's that's the only connection of money, which is with another problematic figure, the connection that goes with usury and anti-semitism, and on top of the ableism. I mean, it's like it really is this section of the play just boxes us in time and time again, whereas the other plot line with the lost fathers is mostly just incredibly silly and actually is quite straightforward and actually almost is fairly removable from the rest of the play. Actually, there are some connective tissues. You would have to do something and maybe rewrite a few bits to sort of decide what you're doing with Phillis. But and therefore by association Nathaniel. But I think you can drop the primary mock marriage element of their plot line and do something else with it. I need to pop out for a few minutes, so I'm going to hand over to Mark. Can you run the room for a bit and get some more? You don't have to go around asking everybody for their final thoughts, but just keep the chat bouncing along to see what else. Other thoughts. I say don't worry too much in this particular session about final thoughts about moving towards production. Just what this is telling us and what we can do with this in other forms is I think a more fruitful question for everyone.
Yeah. What are y'all thinking otherwise? Alan.
I mean, my only thought is, and I know it would not be commercial theatre, but this, I think, either disappears completely or gets done as this is a historical artifact of a particular time and place. And God, weren't they dreadful in terms of our modern standards?
Yeah, I mean, my thought is, there are so many plays from the early modern period that get, underutilized. And I think if you're not doing it in an explicitly educational setting where you're really kind of interrogating these things very explicitly with anyone who is seeing the show, there does come the question of why don't we just do something else? Which I know part of the purpose of this and part of the kind of mission is to find what can we do with each play. But that is something we can do, is do like an educational kind of interrogation of the text and examination. Kyle, I think you started raising your hand first.
Yeah, I just was thinking the same thing, even in educational areas, because I think you have a lot of plays that are already being talked about in terms of race and stuff like that. So I almost feel like, this gets at some other stuff, but it's so bad. And it feels like you can already cover it by stuff that's very well known, like Johnson's Mask of Blackness so why not just address the texts that are there that are racist rather than bring in a new one, right? Kind of thinking myself.
Sarah, were you raising your hand?
Yeah, the thing is, it's just awful in more than one way as well. It's not just racist. Like, the racism is the worst aspect of it, and you could perhaps, the only way I could imagine it being staged is if a black theatre company wanted to take it on and stage it, swap it completely and stage it as a way of kind of making a point about early modern drama, and that could maybe work. But I don't know, A, if anyone would ever want to do it, and B, even in that instance, you've then still got all that terrible ableism. It's not like, it's just, yeah. And it's such a shame, because there are some really good things in this play. And, the first session, we were all kind of like, oh, okay, maybe this is going to be, not too bad. And the plotting's actually really good. And just like you said, Mark, I'm just really hoping that he, we've got a lot more plays to come from him. And I'm really hoping that some of the others have the kind of the deftness of plotting and structure that he's shown here, without all the other crap, because I really just don't see a way of doing this particular one.
I'm back in the room. I don't know if there is a lot more to be said. Does anyone have anything new to say, or are we just sort of all repeating the same basic thing? Eric?
Well, I was going to say that I just quite like the epilogue, because, which is completely irrelevant to any of the other stuff. But,
no, but we need spare epilogues. Not every play has an epilogue, and it's a nice generic one. I like that. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we've already done it somewhere else. They do sometimes jump from play to play.
But it's just the bit about, to send you the epilogue exceeding all the rest, sort of. He can't mend it by just in the epilogue exceeding all the rest, to send you off on a champing bit. More than the scenes afforded of his wit. Like, if it wasn't funny enough, it's not our problem. But hey, it just kind of, I don't know. It depends how you read it, obviously. But yeah, I just like the description of the poet, aka the playwright, skulking behind the hangings as afraid of a hard censure, or pretending to brag and all that stuff. It's a delightful prologue compared to, the problematicness of the play.
Yeah, Mark?
I was just going to say, and this has sort of been covered already, but talking about, using parts of the play, this is not the first play that I have joined for with Beyond Shakespeare where we've said, okay, so there's 3 different plots in this play, and 1 or 2 of them are great. And then another 1 or 2 of them are not. And I would be curious how much you could do a mashup and make it feel cohesive, of taking just 2 different, take the A plot from one play and the B plot from another one, and make small adjustments to, names and small adjustments, and find something that works. And if so, yeah, like we're talking about, there's, the plot with the 2 fathers and their children and their feud. and love is great. And yeah, I'd be curious if we could find, something to pair that with from another play.
Yes, I wish I'd sort of kept better notes. I should have done ages when we started doing this years ago. I should have started a spreadsheet on plot lines, yay or nay, and good speeches but deadly play, so that we could actually start actually creating these Frankenstein monsters for future reference. Kyle.
It seems like they do that already themselves, right? In the early modern period, like they're stealing and so I think it would be interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I have thought about doing something similar with fragmentary interlude plays, because interludes often have basically the same structure. And we've got various fragments, some of which are from the beginning of one play, and some are from the end, and some are just randomly in the middle. And I do actually want to do a show that is actually just those fragments mashed together to sort of demonstrate that, these fragments sort of still work in this weird way. And just, there's a redemption arc. The characters have just changed into totally different people, but it's fine because the shape is all that matters. Eric?
Do we know if Richard Brome was actually a performer or just a playwright? Because it seems like his actual dialogue is okay. I mean, no,
it's very
aside
good.
from the content, which is obviously problematic, so... It's kind of interesting how his sense of structure and pacing and timing is quite good.
Yes,
even if the content is problematic.
Yes, I mean, setting aside what he does with his talents, the shape of the plays is pretty good, actually. I think it's pretty balanced across the various plot lines. The individual scenes are really tightly structured most of the time. There are a few scenes earlier in the play where I got a bit bored, but most of the time it's fine. There are set pieces. There are really interesting speeches that individual characters have. He's doing all the things at the same time. It's just awkward that he's not using his skills for good in this particular instance. I think that's probably all we can say at this time. We will, in some fashion, return to this. Other people are returning to this in some fashion as well, and it'll be interesting to see what other opinions and thoughts are out there. As ever, this comes as much a surprise to us reading it as I'm sure any of you watching or viewing this video will discover for yourselves, assuming that all of the video goes out precisely as we ran it. Do put sensible and considered thoughts in the comments for our random stumblings if you have opinions. Yes, don't shoot the pianist. They're trying their best. All that remains to thank all the wonderful readers for their wonderful reading. It's been a tough one this week, and I think people have danced through this fairly well, but there's still a lot of work that can be done and should be done in the future. So thanks for all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Dead past recovery.